You're listening to the Guernsey Past Podcast. Take a journey back to Guernsey's past through newspaper articles.
Ever notice how death rituals and ghost stories kind of fascinate us?
Yeah.
No matter where we're from or what we believe.
Yeah. It's like a universal thing, right?
Right. Well, today we're diving into a folktale from Guernsey. You know, that island.
Mm-hmm.
Steeped in maritime tradition and all that.
Yeah. I've heard of it.
Our source material is actually a collection of folklore. And this particular story, well, it's a chilling one. It's about the burial of the drowned and the consequences when that solemn duty is neglected, you know.
Oh, interesting. Like what happens if you don't?
Exactly. And it got me thinking, have you ever heard any similar stories, maybe in your own family or culture, about restless spirits, you know, tied to those unfinished rituals?
It's a theme that comes up a lot, right? Like across cultures and time, this idea that you have to do these burial rites properly.
Yeah.
Like the ancient Egyptians, they had all that mummification stuff.
Right.
And the Vikings with their ship burials.
Wow. Yeah. Wild.
It's like this universal thing, this belief that the soul needs something specific done in the physical world.
To move on. To be at peace.
Yeah, exactly. Like a bridge between here and whatever's next.
Sets the stage perfectly for this Guernsey tale. Imagine it, right?
Okay.
This small island community, life totally intertwined with the sea, which can be both a provider and, well, a real danger.
Oh, for sure.
Our story, it starts with a fisherman out on the beach.
Yeah.
It's low tide. And he makes a grim discovery.
Oh, no. What is it?
A body washed ashore.
Makes you think about the power of the sea, you know, how unpredictable it can be.
Definitely. And the story, I actually mentioned this detail. The body, it's not a local, a stranger to the island.
That's interesting.
It's like emphasizing that even in death, even if they're not one of your own, there's this obligation, you know.
To care for them, to do right by them.
Exactly. But hold on, this discovery, it takes a twist. The drowned man, he's well-dressed. And the fisherman, well, he finds a purse full of money on the body.
Wow. So now it's a dilemma, right?
A real moral one.
Take the money and leave the body.
Or honor the dead. It puts the listener in a tough spot, don't you think?
Absolutely. You're like weighing the options in your head right alongside the fisherman.
Yeah. What would you do?
Tough one. But tragically, greed, it seems to win out in this story.
It does. The fisherman, he leaves the body there on the beach, hoping the tide will just, you know, wash it away. Problem solved. Out of sight, out of mind.
But things rarely work out that simply, do they? Especially when it comes to, well, matters of the soul.
No, they don't. That decision comes back to haunt him. Literally.
Oh, okay. I'm hooked. What happens?
Picture this. He's sitting by his fireside later that night. Warm, cozy.
Okay.
And then he sees him. The drowned man.
No way.
Right there in his home. Just staring at him.
Spooky.
With this reproachful look, you know, like, how could you?
I bet. Adds a whole other layer to the guilt, huh?
Oh, for sure. And get this, it gets worse. The fisherman's wife. She can't see the ghost at all.
Whoa. So he's completely isolated in this experience. That's terrifying.
Right. It's like, how do you even explain that? Classic ghost story element, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That sense of mounting dread, the feeling that you're the one at fault, you know? Like you did something wrong.
Exactly. And it really ratchets up the tension. The question is, what's he going to do about it?
Yeah. How do you deal with a haunting like that?
Well, terror, as they say, leads to confession.
Makes sense. You'd want to share that burden with someone, right?
Right. He spills everything to his wife. And together, they realize what they've done.
That they violated a sacred duty.
Exactly. It's not just about the money anymore. They have to set things right.
So what do?
Prayer, remorse, a desperate search for the body, and finally, a proper burial in a field.
Okay. A real contrast to that initial greed, huh?
Oh, yeah. It really drives home the message of the story, don't you think?
Definitely. But what about the ghost? Does it find peace?
It does. The story's pretty clear on that.
Yeah.
Once the burial's done, the ghost, it vanishes. Gone.
Just like that.
Like it was never there. Like that act of repentance, of righting the wrong, allowed the spirit to, move on.
Powerful stuff. You hear stories like this and it makes you think.
It does, right. Like, what do we really know about, what happens after death?
Exactly. But this story, it definitely has a clear message. Respect for the dead, it's paramount. But what about the bigger picture? Why are these kinds of stories so common across so many cultures?
Right. Like, what's the underlying reason?
Well, think about it practically, right? Like, imagine this story being told around a fire in a small community.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a warning, right? A powerful one. Don't mess with the dead. Don't disrespect them. Don't even think about robbing a grave.
Makes sense. Keeps people in line.
But I think it goes even deeper than that. It's about our fear of the unknown. What happens after we die? Nobody knows for sure.
And that's scary.
Right. And this need for closure, for things to be done right, to appease those who have passed on. It's primal, you know?
I guess it's comforting, in a way, to think we have some control over it.
Yeah, like a set of rules. Follow them and everything will be okay.
Makes you wonder, though, right? Some might say these tales, they're more about controlling people than actual belief in the afterlife. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting point. It's hard to separate those two things, isn't it? The social control aspect and the genuine anxiety about death. Maybe it's both.
Both at the same time.
Yeah. The stories reinforce social norms while expressing our very real feels about what comes next. I mean, think about it. We still have elaborate funeral rituals today, even in secular societies.
It's true. There's something about those rituals that feels necessary.
Like a deep-seated need to honor the dead in a specific way, to do things right.
Right.
It taps into something very primal and enduring.
Definitely makes you think. I mean, this idea that our actions in the physical world can have consequences in the spiritual realm.
That's what these stories are all about, right? That connection.
Exactly. And this Guernsey folktale, it's a powerful reminder of that ancient belief. The link between a proper burial and peace for the soul.
It's a chilling reminder, for sure, but a thought-provoking one.
It is. And it leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Do you think this is all just superstition, a way to control people's behavior? Or could there be something more to these ancient beliefs about death and the afterlife, something we don't yet understand?
Now that's something to ponder.
It really is. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time.